Alta is extremely good about maintaining their 4-1-4-1 shape, getting their fullbacks involved, and allowing their midfield to cook to keep interchanging until patterns can emerge. You saw that in force against Chattanooga, with Jimmy Villalobos seen here at advancing from a number 8 role, really doing the damage against his former club. Here, Walmer Martinez is setting the tone from left back, but he's getting forwards involved, allowing his team to draw Chattanooga up, open space in behind, and then play the 1-2-3 sequence that'll allow Sebastian Cruz to cross toward Villalobos, get a finish, and put his team into an equal scoreline. These are the principles that make Brian Claban's side so strong this season.
So obviously I'm kind of focusing on the shape there, but love to get thoughts on Alta's win over Chattanooga generally, and maybe some thoughts on how well they've been doing at the club level, the attendance, anything else you're thinking Alta-wise.
Yeah, you knew that with the level of talent that they signed in the offseason that they were going to figure this out. And, they had a rough start. Now they've won 3 in a row. Jimmy Villalobos is off to the hottest start in his career. He's come back home. He's from California, Bakersfield, played college in Palm Desert and Pomona, started with LA Force, and now is had a rough, had a great career at Chattanooga, hit it rough in Knoxville, was league team of the year last year in Madison, and now, like I said, he's off to the hottest start in his career. So happy for him, in showing us what he's really capable of here.
I mean, I think Villalobos in this one, just like showing the quality finishing, but Avialta maybe a little bit reliant on sharp finishing in those moments because they don't generate a ton. When they do, they've generated quality chances, and I think having someone who is in that sort of form obviously helps a lot. I think they were probably a little bit unlucky in the way like the game unfolded, so it was good on them to hang in there. And I think there is something about this Avialta crowd and the attendance that does propel this team. Like we've seen it, it's not for the first time that they've had this sort of like rode these waves and been able to see out, it was looking like this was going to peter out to a draw, and they do get that that final moment to beat Red Wolves. So yeah. And Villalobos, I think the couple finishes in this game just top notch. So if he can keep this up, they're going to be a danger all season.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that Joaquin Acuna went down with what appears to be a serious injury right after scoring that goal.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a tough one to stomach.
And Acuna was a player I was excited about. Put up huge numbers in college. Advanced stats look good, but I mean, it seems like Alaribe is decent at the striker spot. So we'll see what develops there.
Yeah, and 4,000 fans on hand for the crowd this past Saturday against Chattanooga. But they actually, Alta has a really kind of big week ahead. Here in about half an hour, they'll have the match, almost a local derby, if you will, against Orange County, which I will say is going to be both teams to score in my prediction. And then you have a weekend game against Spokane, which is really, I think, going to be a true test for the team in the league, is seeing, like, okay, where do they stack up? I know many of us have been pretty high on Spokane, at least entering this year. They had a tremendous victory over Texahoma over the weekend. I know Texahoma's side, that's still a high-scoring 4-goal match, or 4 goals that Spokane had. So it'll be very interesting to see how Alta kind of approaches tonight's fixture against Orange County and the weekend match against Spokane.
My stray thought on Texoma is that they're bad at soccer. Just want to throw that out there.
I don't think anyone's going to argue with that.
Yeah.
It's a marathon, not a sprint, is what they will tell you.
There's always the Jaeger.
That's right. Well, if we want to talk about a team that's off to a sprint pace, One Knox continues to rack up wins. They were at it again against Greenville midweek last week. They beat them in the Open Cup, then they beat them again in the league on Wednesday. I came away impressed with One Knox's midfield. I think they've been terrific all season long. And somewhat unexpectedly, like if it's Mikkel Goling really coming up as the main guy, I don't think people anticipated the rookie being that influential. But yeah, any thoughts on Greenville, Knoxville, the state of things in that one?
Yeah, I really like that that 4-1-4-1 setup with Tequila up front and Doyle and Zaracostas on the side. You see Callum Johnson coming into his own. This is the more matches we see with Knoxville, they're going to be right up there with Naples, and that's leading to a very exciting matchup this coming weekend.
Any worries about Greenville? Thinking about this loss, what happened to them against Spokane?
And Knoxville's defense is good. Like I don't know how much more to how much more you can talk about Knoxville's defense. It's just they're good.
Yeah, I had voiced it, I think, a few weeks ago on the show that I was at least a little concerned with Greenville. And I think it's still going to be like almost kind of a wait and see what happens. They have a crucial 3-match road trip with Chattanooga, Tormenta, and Richmond as their next 3 games. That game against Tormenta being the Jägermeister Cup. But yeah, I mean, like we still remember a Tormenta team who beat the reigning champion Omaha 3-0 earlier in the year, albeit that's an Omaha team that was playing their first match on the season. But I still think there is some reason to be concerned about Greenville kind of moving forward.
A bit of a Jekyll and Hyde situation watching them. Like there was the Charlotte match where I came away so impressed. I loved what Leo Castro was doing defensively, marking Alvarez and anyone else in the midfield. And then they just felt a bit stunted in this game. And I definitely attribute that more to One Knox being an excellent soccer team. Even though you got the moments where Chapa could find those touches in the midfield, lead those transitional moments, that's promising, but I don't think we're seeing it consistently enough at this point.
And then Ben Zakowski hits the post again.
Unluckiest player in the league right now.
Yeah. And Greenville will be without Chapa in the for the foreseeable because he got a straight red for a high boot. So that's a tough one to take because he's been ever present in this Greenville team. So
yeah, and some thoughts from Kaler here on One Knox in the Ian Fuller era. He's shocked what they've turned into this season while still mostly being a Mark McKeever influence side. Not just the defense, but the midfield solidity and the way they create chances from the wide areas. And I think just to kind of push forward on Kaler's thought, the difference is the shape for me. You're playing with 4 defenders instead of 5 most of the time. So the principles are the same, but you're adding a little bit more progressivity. You're getting an extra body in the middle to shut things down. It's paying dividends right now.
Yeah, and the thing about Knoxville is we did kind of see them get off to a hot start last year where we thought their offense was clicking, and then it just kind of tapered off again. So, we'll see. They've done this before, but I feel a lot better about them this year.
Yeah, I mean, it was this time last year that they had 4 matches, 4 wins in a row across all competitions, and then their form became a little bit more choppy over the next few months. But it'll be interesting to see how they develop. And definitely once you gave a shout out to Alex that you just had a really good article talking about One Knoxville as well, about their lead into their home opener as well. So definitely go check that out as well.
Yeah, and if you have a number 8 Tennessee Vols football jersey, you can take it to the Knoxville Brew Hub tomorrow and trade it in, or on Friday, and trade it in for a Knoxville kit for free from 5 to 7 p.m. I think that's genius. Like if you want to get out in the community like that, you're never going to be as big as the Tennessee Vols, but it's a way to make some inroads, I guess.
Love that. Well, this was not the only game that was played last Wednesday. Richmond downing Omaha 1-0. Kind of a statement win, the signature win of the year, arguably, for the Richmond Kickers. Alex, those are you boys. What are we thinking about that one? Yeah,
I was there. Had a few beers sitting in the front row. You might have seen me on the TV. But like Omaha, they start sluggish. They do a big road heavy schedule to start the season. They start sluggish. The pieces are there. I do think that they're gonna, every year they start slow and then get it together and sometimes become some of the best teams you've ever seen in the league. But yeah, for Richmond, like I think I can't sing that sing the praises of that Darwin Espinal signing enough. That's been exactly what Richmond needed so far from last year to this year. Again, it's early, a month in, see if it's sustainable, but that's exactly what Richmond needed. It was another striker, another, someone capable of playing on the wing. You notice when teams play Richmond, they really push to get the ball over to the right side, away from Maxi Shenfield, away from Darwin Espinal, because you see what happens when they get a chance. He can score a goal from wherever, if given the room. But yeah, we'll see if that's sustainable. And speaking of Maxi Shenfield, this is a guy he missed the 2023 season. He was a free agent, didn't play at all, came back in 2024 with Richmond last year. And this year he is now playing some of his best career soccer. He's made team of the week, I think all but one week. He was an absolute defensive menace against Omaha, shutting down Dion Akoff. He can just show up anywhere on the field, but he's mostly on that left side. And then Simon Fitch as well on the right side, on the right side. He's playing some of his best football again. I'm feeling pretty good. I know I predicted Omaha, and I apologize for that, Richmond fans. I was wrong, and I'm happy to be wrong. But like I said, Omaha will get it together. I think they are one of the more fit teams in the league, even if they didn't quite look like it that night. It's coming together, and then they're going to get their home stretch, and they'll probably end up there near the top again.
Yeah, and I mean, as we speak, Omaha, not to jinx it, but on the precipice of doing something big against San Antonio FC. And watching a little bit of that game tonight and what we saw from them last Wednesday, it very much feels like they've got the principles down. They understand the ideas, the talent is there, and it's just a matter of executing. I did think some of the shape changes were interesting against Richmond, the way they really tried to hone in on Barnathan and the pivot and force them out to the wide areas. Didn't work, obviously, but you're seeing similar things today where Dom Casciato going pure 3-4-3, properly defending against what he's seen from San Antonio on tape. It's the little things like that, just the small tweaks week in and week out, that have made Omaha so successful over the years, and why I'm not really concerned, even though it has been a slow start so far.
And I think they're still trying to figure out where the goal production is going to come from. It's just one of those things where when these players start clicking, they can be extremely dangerous, and it's just a matter of that happening, and it not getting too late into the season before it does. I'll also say that on the Open Cup, you're probably fine, John, in terms of the jinx, because Dom Casciato can't get eliminated from the Open Cup until he's knocked Locomotive out. So he has to make sure that the job is done before he goes. But so I'm sure they'll be waiting for Locomotive in the next round.
Yeah, and we wanted to hit on one more League One game, which is Tormenta getting a really big 2-1 win over Hearts of Pine. I think an interesting game for Tormenta, who have seen a little bit of lineup rotation, but finally seem to be finding their footing in terms of that preferred 11. Austin Pack ending up on the team of the week. Alex, any big takeaways from you out of this one?
Yeah, I think Mason Tunbridge is turning into a very valuable utility man. They can slot him in attacking midfield, central midfield, or striker. He can work around where Bazzini or Vivas is going to play. He now has 4 goals, which is one more than he had all of last season. Again, sustainability is the word of the night, I guess, for me. Being this early in the season, is that going to be a sustainable thing for Tunbridge? We'll see. But I think he's turned into one of the more valuable players on that team. And then, poor Portland missed a PK to get, which would have been their first league goal. Finally got one late. Patrick Langlois, good for him going down in history for that first Portland league goal. Right after that Prepolita red card. but then turn right around and give up a shorthanded goal to lose the game. That was a shame. But yeah, Tormenta, they thrive on chaos. It's hard to like. It's hard to know what Tormenta you're going to get from week to week. I guess they're a little bit more consistent than they've been in the last year, but yeah, they're a chaos team. One that's really fun to watch as a neutral.
For what it's worth,
Kaler
only
noting
one.
Tormenta refuses to play a normal match, which a valid thought.
I mean, only one Tormenta match this year has been under 2.5 goals. So going over that mark is certainly kind of the move that you would do as a betting person.
I still think too that there's something about Tormenta's the chaos that just like they give up a few too many chances per game for me to take them seriously, like towards the top end of the league. There's too many good defensive teams where I know it's, the oldest of old sports cliches, but defense wins championships. And in a lot of ways, like Tormenta will be involved in a lot of these kind of chaotic games. And unfortunately, it's going to probably cost them a lot of points, like over the course of the whole season.
And in USL League One, a good goalkeeper bails you out.
True, and that's what maybe it is.
Austin Pack. Yeah,
Austin Pack and Inshallah, like that's like hopefully they could figure it. But anyways, I think I do think I actually do feel for Portland too, because they did a decent job in this game of creating like good looks, and they're probably a little bit now that first goal like monkey is off their back. Maybe there's a little bit more. They kind of play within themselves a little bit more, play a little bit more naturally, instinctively, and maybe worry less about that, historic first goal.
If you look at the lineup they had for the Tormenta game and the lineup they had tonight, very much a completely rotated attacking unit. Almost feels like it was kind of Portland B playing against Tormenta. And even despite that, you could tell that they had the Bobby Murphy principles. I thought the press looked very good at times. Some of the wide combination play, particularly between Malamaki and Evan Southern, did well to challenge Oscar Jimenez, who's somebody that's been doing it at the USL level for the better part of a decade at this point. I think once the fervor of the cups early in the season kind of abates for this team, we're going to get a better perspective on, okay, this is the Hearts of Pine team we can expect to see throughout the rest of the season. But promising signs for them, despite the loss, and kind of echoing everybody, Mason Tunbridge is that guy. Like, he can really be the anchor for this team. So, yeah, fun game in this one.
And speaking of cup, that's their next matchup is a Jaeger Cup matchup against Hartford Athletic.
Which they're probably favorites for.
They should be. I mean, they beat Hartford 4-0 in the preseason. They beat Hartford in the Open Cup. Hartford is like a walking train wreck as we speak. So, smart money, Hearts of Pine.
Will Hartford generate a shot against Hearts of Pine? Yeah. I guess is like the.
I mean, it's not guaranteed based on their USL track record.
I mean, we opened the start of the show talking about managerial changes. If you're looking at Hartford, I know we're about to move up to the championship soon. How much further do they kind of persist with Burke? If you drop 2 games to an expansion Portland Hearts of Pine team, it's not a good look.
It would be the most Hartford thing possible, though, we must consider. Before we make the jump to the championship, however, we do have Kaler's corner kick market to show you, featuring Forward Madison.
Ever wondered why some teams send a player offside or do the fake free kick on free kicks? I'm going to show you why. Circled for you is Bartman of Forward Madison. Clearly, he's in an offside position. Nobody's standing with him because they're trying to hold the offside line. And as this fake free kick comes in, we see Charlotte Independence has to respect it. So that gains them just a couple of inches. As the real free kick comes in, guess who's onside? It's Bartman, who's now making a run to the back post. And as this free kick is taken in, the whole goal is to head across to Bartman, who's all by himself, all because he started off in an offside position, and he was able to be onside because of this fake movement. And this is what got Forward Madison the draw in Charlotte.
Once again, a terrific breakdown from Kaler there about the utility of some of those feints and seemingly odd features that come in when you get to the set piece tactics. Very good for forward Madison to get that goal, to get a decent result in this game, kind of maximizing what they can do in dead ball situations as they figure things out elsewhere.
Yeah, they got lucky to get out of that one with a draw. But that's how you do it.
Yeah, and I mean, on the Charlotte side, you're kind of worried about their ability to finish games. Different context tonight with NCFC, but a little bit of something that I'm sensing about them early in the year.
One question. What will happen first in USL 1 league play? Will Texoma win or will Naples lose?
Well, to spoil the predictions a little bit, I think Naples losing will be the first thing to happen. And I don't feel good about like planting my flag in this take, but I think Texoma might be historically bad. Like I watched that game against Spokane. I see them against Foro, even in the Open Cup, even the players that they've got, the lack of a identifiable style, that's worrying. And I know it's early. I know they're an expansion team, but League One is competitive. There are no other clubs essentially that haven't raised their level heading into the season or come out firing. And Texoma feels one step behind that in a way that makes me afraid.
Yeah, and they're also playing at Madison this weekend.
The key of any League One season is to ensure that you're not the Central Valley. And unfortunately, Texoma is the Central Valley.
But it's only their first year. If they do it again next year, that's when they become the Central Valley.
If you look around and no one else is the Central Valley, then unfortunately you are the Central Valley.
Like somebody has to get the wooden spoon every year. But if you get it 2 years in a row, that's when you become
Yeah, well, as soon as they start giving away fridges, we got to be concerned.
I mean, Phil, I think you said it in our at least private Discord that Texoma does host El Paso in a few weeks for the Jägermeister Cup. So it will be interesting to see kind of how they would match up going up against the championship. And I don't want to see the fallout or rant that you would have in store if Texoma somehow get a result out of that one. But I did mention to you, John, earlier today that we need a Texoma Hartford meeting sometime this year.
Clash of
and I told you Jägermeister Cup final. Let's go.
That would be the if there were somehow a super cup of the worst teams in both leagues.
USL, if you're hearing promotion relegation ideas, take this one.
It's the liquidation playoff. Whoever loses has to hold the club.
Say, winner goes to League Two.